Hello everybody, we are back. It is bright and early. It's time for another adventure. This time, however, we are doing something a bit different. Today, we are racing. Racing against what, you may ask? Well, the sun. It's not up yet, but we are going to see how many waterfalls here in the wonderful state of Kentucky we can hit up before we run out of time today. So let's not waste too much time here talking. Let's just get on the road and let's get started and see how many we can visit. Well, this wasn't the easiest place to find, but we did find it, thankfully. And we are now headed out to Cumberland Falls, waterfall number 1 for this little Blitz road trip. Now, I can't spend a lot of time at any one waterfall, so we're going to hit a bunch of them today. But I do want to take a few minutes to see if I can't find a composition here. It's a really cool location, and there's a lot of compositions I can visualize. But the problem is my lens just isn't wide enough, I don't think. So, well, I'll just have to see what I can come up with. Alright, I found a composition that might work alright. I'll kind of show you what I'm going for here. I can't replicate it exactly on the phone because it's got a different focal length. But it's got part of this boulder here, that tree in the upper part of the falls. My lens just is nowhere near wide enough for my crop sensor camera to even begin to get the shot I really want. I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and buy a wide angle lens. I've been wanting one for a while, so yeah, I got a trip planned in June, so before then I'm hoping to have one. But no use crying about that right now. I got the composition set up. I got my ISO on 100 as low as I can get it. F8 aperture priority. It's giving me an exposure time of about a second. So I'm going to go ahead, snap the shot. I'm not bothering with an ND filter because it's got an exposure time of 1 second. So I don't think it's really necessary. Alright, I wandered around to a slightly different angle here. We are now in front of the falls. And just real quickly before I show you the composition I'm going to try. Check out all the ice on those rocks, it's crazy. It's in the low 20s right now. But it's supposed to get up in the 40s and it really doesn't feel too bad. But I'm trying something a little bit different here to try to compensate for my lack of a wide angle. I don't do this very often in landscape shots. I'm trying to shoot portrait. Right there is the composition. We'll see how it turns out, I guess. Alright, that's waterfall number 1, Cumberland Falls in the bag, but we have no time to rest and enjoy this place. Oh no, because this is a waterfall Blitz Creek. So we have to head out back to the car and drive to our next location. Let's do it. Access to the lower overlook of the falls seems to be closed, so it's probably about as good as we're going to get, so it doesn't look like we're going to get any composition here today, unfortunately. Probably for the best anyway, simply because the light kind of sucks, the sky is boring, so I don't think it'd be all that great anyway. But regardless, the falls are absolutely breathtaking. Okay, so in a mere 1 mile, we'll be at our next waterfall, our third waterfall, which is Dog Slaughter Falls. I'm pretty stoked right now because I figured out how to get down here. It's actually really easy. The trail comes down here. And I am almost certain that I can get an image out of this. I mean, look at this. It's almost cheating as the landscape photographer. The image will practically make itself no matter where I put the camera. Okay, so that's not quite true. It'll take a little bit of work. We need a good composition, otherwise we just got another boring picture of the falls, right? But yeah, I think we're gonna be able to make this happen, guys. I'm pretty happy right now. All right, I hope you can hear me over the waterfall. I'm gonna try out my first composition here. This is just the first one I've tried and I happen to like it. I haven't even really explored for better ones yet, but we're gonna go and snap it for here, and why not? So let me try to explain what I'm doing here. I got the camera, which is right here, looking through these rocks, which act as a little bit of a leading line right into the falls. Very simple. I'm thinking an ND filter to get that nice blur on the water, but what I wanna do first is, because of the really dramatic difference in the brightness of the falls here and the brightness of the shadow of the rocks there and the brightness of the rocks in the foreground, because of that difference, the falls, I can either have a really well exposed falls, or I can have really well exposed shadows or really well exposed foreground. Can't really get all of them at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of bracketed exposures without an ND filter, so I get kind of a nice even exposure for all those areas that I can blend together. And then I'm going to get an exposure with the ND filter for the falls. And my thinking is I can just stack these together and selectively blend together the parts I need in Photoshop. All right, I got my bracketed exposures. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully put the ND filter on. And I say very carefully because if I bump the camera too much, or really any at all, and adjust my positioning at all, the images just aren't going to blend together correctly. All right, so my exposure without the ND filter is about a 20th of a second at f11, which means with a 10-stop ND filter, I will need an exposure time of about 51 seconds. So I'll have to put the camera in bulb mode and do it that way. If you're wondering how I calculate those, I use an app called Long Exposure Calculator or something like that. I actually did a blog post on like my 3 favorite iPhone apps for photography. I'll link it down below, and I talk about that app on there. So check that out if you're at all interested, but I'm going to go ahead and do this exposure. Okay, in the end I ended up doing several exposures. The one that I think is actually right was a minute and 15 seconds. So pretty long exposure there. I based my first exposure just by going off what the camera's light meter said in aperture priority mode, instead of getting like super technical and trying to get a better guess. But anyway, I think that shot might be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around here and try to find a better composition. And already I think I might see some potential just over here, a few feet from where I just was. We get kind of a side view of the falls from here. So I think I'll come over here, find us a little composition over here. All right, I hope you can hear me. This is almost unbearably loud being this close to the falls, with the noise echoing from this like rock shelter behind me. But I got another composition here like what we just talked about. I got my camera tripod kind of balanced precariously here on some rocks, and the camera's looking out. The corner of the lower corner third is roughly right there in that log. The upper third is kind of up here on this rock, which falls in frame. That's what I'm going for. I'm going to do the exact same process I just did over there of doing multiple exposures without an ND filter, and then I'll add an ND filter and I'll figure out how to blend it all together later. So yeah, I'm going to get to it, and I won't go as in detail as the process this time because I just explained it over there. Alright, so that last exposure ended up being about a minute and a half, in case you were curious. I'm just kind of wondering, I'm kind of wandering downstream a little bit here, and just seeing if there isn't another composition that doesn't require me getting into the water. If it was springtime, spring or summer, I would be more than willing to stand right about there with the tripod and get an image, because I think it would be an amazing composition. Not happening today. Not happening. Too cold. And I don't have dry clothes. So, there's that. But yeah, other than getting into the water, I don't see another composition. I'm really happy with the two I found, and I'm really quite happy with Dog Slaughter Falls. This is one of my new favorite spots, I think. And I'm definitely going to be coming back here in the warmer months to get in that water and get a shot. But yeah, that's not happening today. We got a lot more to see. So I'm going to get packed up here, and I'm going to walk about a mile back to the car, and we will continue on to our next destination, waterfall number 4. All right, so I am, let me make sure I lock my car while I talk to you, but I am in the small town of Greyhawk, Kentucky now. By the way, waterfall number 4 was going to be Eagle Falls. I skipped it because the trailhead was so busy you couldn't even get parked for it. So yeah, I skipped that. So now, maximum of 6 waterfalls that we're doing today. So that's okay. And currently, I'm in the small town of Greyhawk, Kentucky. And this seems like an unlikely place for anything cool, to be honest and blunt. But this is where our next 2 waterfalls are. And this one I found out from somebody on Instagram. I'll pop his username up, I can't remember it, and put a link to the description. He helped me out with this one. And he said come to the Greyhawk Community Park, which is where we are. Find a trail that goes down into the woods, and there's a waterfall called Mammon Falls down here. He said you'll likely hear it before you see it, and I do hear a waterfall, so I'm pretty sure he wasn't just screwing with me, so let's go see what we've got. Alright, well, it is very shortly down the trail. There's Mammon Falls, waterfall number 4 for today. It's a really cool spot, really cool waterfall. I don't see a good way to get down, unfortunately. There is a path leading down over there, but it's so wet right now that I'm not going to attempt it. I think I would slide right down it. And if you slid down it, you'd be going a pretty long way. So I'm not going to bother. Also, there is a lot of trash down there, which is a shame. But yeah, it's a cool waterfall, and it could definitely make a cool image, but I don't see a good way to get down there. And like I said, it's full of trash. Actually, on the way in this park was a bunch of drug paraphernalia on the ground, so it gives you kind of the idea of the situation here. This is on like the absolute very edge of Daniel Boone National Forest. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say that's good enough for waterfall number 4, which is Mammon Falls, and head to number 5, which should be somewhere roughly around the corner if I can find it. There's a view from the falls, but I'm pretty sure there's a way to get down to the bottom, so I'm gonna look around and see if there is, because it looks like that could make a pretty cool shot. Although I'm not sure if we'll be able to make it happen or not, because of how bright the highlights would be. They'd probably be blown out because how harsh the sun is on the water. I don't know. Let's go check it out and find out. I'm not sure if there's going to be an image down here or not. The falls themselves would make a great image. I'm not saying that there's not ever going to be an image down here. I'm just not sure that there's one right now today with these lighting conditions, but I'll kind of poke around for a little bit and see if I can't come up with something, because they are quite beautiful. Alright, this could potentially be a shot here. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, how much brighter the water is and everything. But I'm here, so I might as well try it out. And we only have one more waterfall to go to after this, so I got time, I think. So I'll try it out and see what happens. Alright, I'm pretty certain with these conditions that this image just is going to be lackluster, despite how cool the falls are. I'm not even bothering with an ND filter because, like I said, the conditions, it's not even worth it. It's going to be a lackluster image anyway. I'll just have to plan to come back to get a good image of these. It'll have to be towards the beginning of the day when I do it. But yeah, they are cool falls. I did put the polarizer on to try to cut down on some of the glare and reflections on the water. I don't know how well it worked. I also bracketed the exposures, so maybe I can kind of blend them together and get something useful. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's Flat Lick Falls. That was waterfall number 5. So I'm gonna get packed up, head back to the car, and we'll go to number 6 and the final one for this waterfall Blitz road trip thing. Alright, so here's the situation. The road that I was supposed to take to our final waterfall, which was Broke Leg Falls, by the way, they apparently moved. And yeah, that completely threw off Google Maps, and I'm not entirely sure where I am. I do know how to get home from here though, because I saw signs for the Mountain Parkway. And I can't seem, even using that list, to quite figure out how to get to the area for Broke Leg Falls. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the signs for the Mountain Parkway and just head home and call this a day. It's getting late, so even if I do manage to figure out how to get to Broke Leg Falls, it's likely going to be too late in the day to really do anything. But yeah, we did 5 waterfalls. I mean, I'm not complaining. That's pretty good. We did good today. I mean, we managed to find Cumberland Falls. It was a challenge to find, but we did do it and photographed it. Don't know how the photographs are going to turn out, but we attempted it. We went to Cumberland Falls. Admittedly, we couldn't get the best overlook because it was closed for repairs, but hey, that's okay. It was still impressive. We went to Dog Slaughter Falls. Very impressive, and I think I got some good images of it. Skipped Eagle Falls because it was too busy to even park at the trailhead. We went to Mammon Falls. Kind of disappointing because of the litter. So we left there, and then we went to the Flat Lick Falls, which was very impressive, even though I don't know that the images worked out. So I call it a success either way, even if I did get way off course. But yeah, it's late in the day anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and head on out, but I will thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of this whole little Blitz road trip thing. Yeah, let me know what you think of it. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Does indeed go to the bottom of the falls. Don't know if there's going to be